Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Duel of the Takes. We have Tyler, a.k.a. MuchLikedOnline, from the Roll Credits podcast, joining us today. Now, to give a little context, I was like, okay, well, you should come on the show. We could talk about, like, I don't know, every best picture ever ranked. He's like, no, I want to fight Josh one-on-one on drafting wrestling rosters. And I was like, word.
Listen here, Josh, you fucking piece of shit. I'll send you back to your fucking little East Buffet hometown. The Roll Credits podcast is taking over. We're the number one fucking film podcast on planet Earth. The metrics don't fucking say so, but what do you trust Spotify for? You know what I mean? So it'll be a fucking bloodbath, buddy. It's like a dog collar match. You're not walking out of here in one piece, period.
Well, you know something. I'm a genetic freak. Let me throw some math at you. When you go at me, you would think it's a 50% chance, but Coda won Best Picture at the Oscars, so that gives me a lot of confidence going into this, just all the hype into that. And also, I am the greatest at ranking everything ever. Did you see the Tim Burton episode? I control this show, okay? I'm gonna win this draft.
Are you going to do that when you give Alden your purse?
I hold Alden's purse sometimes, okay? He is a very pretty man.
The best.
Here, we also have two guest judges joining us today because I know pretty much nothing about professional wrestling. We've got McHale from the M2J2 project, friend of the show, longtime reoccurring guest. You might know him from our Veggie Tales episode. How's it going, McHale?
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's McHale from M2J2.
Drive to M2J2.
We got new merch out, by the way.
And we also have Adam joining us, friend of Josh's, friend of the show, and a big wrestling fan. He probably knows more about what's going on currently on WWE than anyone else on planet Earth.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. Quick question. Am I taking their promos into account in my judging?
Oh, yeah. Everything that's on the record is being factored here.
Love it.
Dude, Adam is calling from prison.
Calling collect onto the Duel of the Takes podcast. I love it.
Is my audio bad again?
No.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's fine. We'll fix it in post. All right, Josh, who is your first round overall pick? Perhaps your opinion on the greatest pro wrestler ever.
You're right. My first overall pick, I'm not even going to think about it too much. I got to go with the GOAT. And that's why I'm drafting Shawn Michaels.
That's great. He wasn't even on my long list.
Wow, really?
No. I was never going to take him.
Holy shit.
We're starting off with some hot takes.
From the top rope.
That certainly established the tone.
I'm going Bret Hart. I'm going the Hitman.
Oh, this makes sense.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret Hart, to me, is the end-all, be-all package. You want to talk about a guy who can shoot 3 points, run to the rim, slash through, play defense. It's Bret Hart. You look at his stuff, and it's timeless. And Bret, you can put him anywhere. You can throw him anywhere on the card, and he fits.
These are some takes. Adam, McHale, with your guys' wrestling knowledge and experience, how are you feeling on this?
I was thinking in my head before this kicked off who would be the number one pick, and these were the exact two people that popped in my head. I think we're off to the perfect start.
Yeah, these were actually the two top guys I had in my head as well. I'm a big Shawn Michaels guy. I got to give it to Josh this round. I think that there is an argument to be made about Bret Hart in terms of being the GOAT.
What do you think Shawn's best matches?
Him versus Taker at WrestleMania 25. I know that's everyone's pick, but it's the greatest match of all time, in my opinion.
I think Bret's best is either his series with Benoit or the ones where he's feuding with Michaels.
My favorite Bret match will always be him versus Owen at WrestleMania 10. I think that match is awesome.
Alrighty, Josh, what are you picking next?
I'm going to go with Sasha Banks as my number 2 pick, who, in my opinion, is the best working wrestler right now, and when her career is said and done, might be the greatest wrestler of all time.
Tyler, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is your second pick?
Looking at this person's career, they're a gateway drug into wrestling, and you just look at them and immediately you're hooked. I'm going Rey Mysterio, number 2. Generational talent, probably one of the 5 greatest to ever do it.
Drafting Sasha Banks, as important as women's wrestling is, and I really do enjoy women's wrestling, and I do enjoy Sasha Banks. I just don't think she's on the caliber as Mysterio. I don't think they're very comparable either.
Yeah, this round is razor tight for me. One thing I'll say about Sasha Banks is maybe the best working wrestler at not only making sure that she is a star, but making sure the person across from her in the ring is getting over and is a star. I was a little surprised you went with her this early. I do probably side with the Rey Mysterio pick, just because you need that sort of perfect white meat babyface on your roster, and someone that just makes you suspend any sort of disbelief, and someone that you could feel could win a match at any given moment, no matter how grim the circumstances are. Yeah, this is a razor close round for me.
We are moving on to round 3, Josh. You got some pushback from the panel on Sasha Banks. What are we seeing here?
I mean, this is where you got to take Papa Shango.
Of course.
Redeem yourself with Kamala.
I gotta go with him. He's going in the Hall of Fame tonight. I gotta take Undertaker. I mean, what could I say about the Undertaker that I haven't already said? I'm very confident in this pick. How can you not be? It's the Undertaker.
Yeah, he's like the Mario to WWE's Nintendo. And because he's such like a lasting figure and such an iconic character, I mean, I feel like any WWE merchandise or stupid, shitty Scooby-Doo tie-in movie, he's there.
I do think that Josh right now has the upper hand, but we'll have to see who Tyler chooses as his third pick.
Yeah, I will say the odds are incredibly stacked against Tyler here in round 3 now that Josh has landed Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker on the same roster. So it's going to be really tough for Tyler to win just round 3.
I wasn't even allowed to watch wrestling, and I had an Undertaker action figure as a kid.
That's fucking awesome.
Was it one of the ones where you take off the jacket, but he still has the sleeves, like he has a coat
Yeah,
on?
I had that one.
Yes, that was the exact one.
See, that's why Biker Taker's elite.
No, I had a Biker Taker like that too.
Get fucked.
All right, Tyler, welcome back. What is your round 3 pick?
I'm going with the guy who gave Undertaker his greatest match. I'm going with Mick Foley, my favorite wrestler of all time.
These are some hot takes coming in.
This is based. I love Mick Foley.
He's fucking incredible. He's a guy, again, we talk about guys who don't need the belt. Mick Foley does not need the title. He does not need it. Reinvented himself 3 times, technically 4 with Mick Foley as a character by itself, and is just such a large part of my identity as a wrestling fan and as a fan of hardcore wrestling, and he's fucking awesome. He rules.
He might be the best seller of all time.
Genuinely. No one garners sympathy like Mick Foley. Watching Mick Foley get the dog shit whipped out of him by The Rock is like incredible. It makes you so sympathetic to him.
All right. Well, I want to hear from the experts. Is Mick Foley enough to take The Undertaker?
I got to shout my dad out here because he listens to every podcast I go on. As the son of a professional wrestler myself, one of my father's favorite matches is the Hell in the Cell match between Mick Foley and The Undertaker at King of the Ring. And I think that's all in The Undertaker's performance, so I have to give that. Well, as I say that, Mick Foley takes the bump. I give it to Tyler. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Aced as fuck.
Josh is building an incredible WrestleMania caliber show with his roster. I really hate to hand the loss to Mick Foley on this round because everything Tyler said was true about him just being able to make you feel so many emotions and make you want to root for him like no other. Tyler has an incredible list of baby faces built up over there, but I am going to keep the win to Josh this round.
It's going to be weird if I don't draft this guy right now. The people on the panel feel the same way because nobody's had a run quite like him in the history of pro wrestling. I got to take John Cena here. Yeah, John Cena can be both overrated and underrated at the same time. I grew up a Cena hater, and I've now become a big Cena fan in his twilight years of his career. So yeah, I'm going to take the Cena around the US Open Challenge. I want mid-card Cena because it's actually better than main event Cena.
Cena's goated. Underrated, like genuinely underrated.
All right. What's your response to John Cena, Tyler?
We talk about, your John 316. Austin 316 just whooped your ass. I mean, we're taking Stone Cold. We're taking Stone Cold Steve Austin number 4. I don't know how you let him go.
It was between him and Cena for me. It was really between them. Fantastic
5-star match. Watching a man drink 9 beers in 45 minutes and look totally unfazed is awesome.
See, this is a toss-up. It's literally John Cena versus Stone Cold. Like, who do you pick?
It's a terrible round to be a judge.
I think that John Cena, overall has been a more impactful person on, I don't want to say wrestling because Stone Cold carried wrestling through its biggest point, but John Cena overall, I think, has made a bigger impact.
No one had a run like Cena.
Yeah, I think John Cena overall has made a bigger impact on just like the world.
I have an argument for that. I want to throw this out there real quick.
John Cena, Stone Cold doesn't do Make-A-Wish.
I don't I'm not a Make-A-Wish kid.
I hate to pick against John Cena, but Austin is probably the biggest draw in the history of wrestling. And if I'm building a roster, I want the biggest draw on my roster.
Who is the last pick of your top 5, Josh?
I need to make sure Tyler does not get everyone from the Attitude Era. I am picking the biggest draw in Hollywood, The Rock.
I'm kind of just throwing this out here because I don't want him to get this person on his roster. It's less of a pick of actually trying to counterpick him. But I'm going to go Trish Stratus just because I need a woman on the roster.
Good pick.
I think that she's probably the actual best women's wrestler ever as far as you just look at like body of work.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave anybody hanging on to their seats. I would probably give this round to Josh. Like Tyler said himself, Pure Pro Wrestling kind of punted on this round.
You are not going to get me to say that Trish Stratus is better than The Rock. It's the fucking Rock.
Josh, number 6. Who you got?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with them. Roman Reigns.
Big dog.
The big dog. We haven't really seen a run like this in a long time. He has had this Universal title for over 2 years now, almost 2 years. Rocky start, I won't deny that. But this modern Roman Reigns, the head of the table, is, I think, one of the best gimmicks we have seen in WWE in a long time.
Arguably the best heel work of the decade. It's CM Punk. I'm taking CM Punk. Just an overall technician. Can you imagine the matches like a heel CM Punk versus Mick Foley, or Bret Hart versus CM Punk, or Stone Cold versus CM Punk would be a fucking banger.
I'm going to acknowledge that both of the opinions I'm about to express are in the minority here. I am, on one hand, a massive CM Punk hater. On the other hand, I love Roman Reigns.
We are now moving into round 7. Who are you picking, Josh?
I want DX. I got to go with the King of Kings, Triple H, who just retired, which is sad. It sucks that Triple H will never get a proper farewell match, but from my list of wrestlers so far, you could tell that characters and story mean a lot to me in professional wrestling, and Triple H is one of the best at that.
What's your next pick, Tyler?
I think we're going to take a guy who did literally everything better than what Triple H did.
Uh-oh.
And Triple H kind of modeled his career after him. I'm taking fucking Ric Flair. I'm taking a guy who is synonymous with pro wrestling, right? He's just as iconic as The Undertaker. He's just as iconic as these guys. People know who Ric Flair is. He's an icon in hip-hop currently, which is fucking bizarre.
I'm excited to hear what our two experts have to say. Adam, between Ric Flair and Triple H, where do you lean?
I'm very surprised by myself here because Josh just formed DX, but I'm probably going to side with Pure Pro Wrestling here. I am just becoming very fascinated with some of the matchups that could be made on the Pure Pro Wrestling roster.
I don't know. Triple H's style of wrestling is really just neat. He's the prototypical wrestler, in my opinion, and I have a soft spot for him. I know everybody hates on Triple H, but I got to go with him here.
We were knocking him a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go with my guy, Dave Bautista. I think him as a draw is very underrated. This man carried SmackDown for a solid 4 or 5 years, I believe.
What's the counter pick to Batista, Tyler?
So I think it's interesting that we've taken 3 Evolution members back to back, right? He took Triple H, he took Ric Flair, he took Batista. I'm taking Randy fucking Orton.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Nate from Duel of the Takes here, and I regret to inform that we had some technical difficulties in recording this episode. So unfortunately, this looked like it was going to be one of those episodes just lost to time. After talking with the boys right after recording and we realized this, we decided the best bet would be to try to squeeze the content out either way. Again, I think this is one of our biggest episodes of the year so far. Thanks to MuchLikedOnline, aka Tyler from the Roll Credits podcast, and also thanks to McHale and Adam for just being awesome judges, co-hosts for this topic. And this duel, it was a very close one. I'm going to go over the recap now. So the round that was going on was Dave Bautista for Josh's Big Decision Wrestling and Randy Orton for Pure Pro Wrestling. The panel decided to go with Randy Orton on that one. AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle was up next, and the panel decided to go with Josh's pick for AJ Styles on Big Decision Wrestling. And then Josh ended up actually taking 3 more in a row. Josh picked Kenny Omega, and Tyler picked Daniel Bryan. The panel sided with Kenny Omega. Then at round 11, Josh picked Edge, and Tyler picked Booker T. The panel sided with Edge. And then at number 12, Josh picked Eddie Guerrero, and that actually overtook Tyler's pick for Macho Man Randy Savage. Tyler started to turn things around come round 13 when he picked Jeff Hardy. Josh picked Chris Jericho in response, and the panel sided with Jeff Hardy. Then at round 14, Josh picked Razor Ramon for Big Decision Wrestling, and Tyler had picked Andre the Giant for Pure Pro Wrestling. Razor Ramon somehow edged out. I thought it was a controversial decision, but Adam and McHale know their shit. Round 15, Rowdy Roddy Piper was picked for Big Decision Wrestling, and Tyler had selected Brock Lesnar for Pure Pro Wrestling, and the panel was unanimous. Brock Lesnar fit perfectly within the confines of what Pure Pro Wrestling was meant to be. At round 16, Josh picked Kane for Big Decision Wrestling, and Tyler had picked Lita from Pure Pro Wrestling. Josh ended up getting the W there. For Kane. At round 17, Josh picked Matt Hardy, and everyone laughed. It was really funny. One of the best bits of the episode. I wish we had it on recording. And Tyler picked Christian Cage, and the panel sided with Tyler for Christian Cage. Josh got a lot of pushback from Matt Hardy, mostly from me. Number 18, Finn Balor, was Josh's selection for Big Decision Wrestling. Tyler had made the selection of Hulk Hogan, and the panel sided with Finn Balor. Number 19, Becky Lynch was selected for Big Decision Wrestling. The Big Show was selected for Pure Pro Wrestling. The panel surprisingly sided with Becky Lynch for Big Decision Wrestling. The bottom 5 here at round 20, Josh selected The Miz, and Tyler selected Charlotte Flair. The Flair family was reunited, and the panel sided with Charlotte Flair for Pure Pro Wrestling, so Tyler got a point there, and then he proceeded to get 3 more points. At round 21, Josh picked Bruno Sammartino for Big Decision Wrestling, and for Pure Pro Wrestling, Tyler made the selection of Hornswoggle, and much to the dismay of McHale, Hornswoggle ended up taking the popular vote over Bruno Sammartino. At round 22, Kevin Nash versus Samoa Joe. Tyler took the win again there with Samoa Joe for Pure Pro Wrestling. Then Josh decided to go for X-Pac. Tyler decided to go for Aja Kong, and that secured 4 in a row for Tyler. And Pure Pro Wrestling got the point there at round 23. At round 24, Josh nominated Rob Van Dam. Tyler nominated Marty, the Boogeyman Wright, and the panel decided to go with Rob Van Dam. And in the final spot, Josh picked his 3rd female wrestler, Bayley, and Tyler picked Chris Benoit. The panel decided to go with Bayley for Big Decision Wrestling. Those of you following along at home, Josh had a total of 13 favorites, and Tyler had 12, so it was neck and neck all the way down to the end, and it was honestly one of the best drafts we have ever done. It was neck and neck, and we're gonna have to bring Tyler back at some point. Thank you guys for understanding the technical difficulties, and we appreciate our fan base a lot.